Okay, and welcome back. In this lecture, we will be adding our game mode to the game, and this will just let us see more of what it is and how we can set them up. So a game mode is a type of blueprint. So the first thing we'll do is we go to our blueprints folder. We need to right click in this window down here, and we will create a blueprint class. And again, it gives you a nice description here of what the game mode is. So a game mode defines the game being played, its rules, scoring, and other facets of the game type. So pretty much what I said in this much more concise way. So right now then, if we click on adding the game mode, and I'm going to use a standard naming convention here that I'll be using for the rest of the project. So like I've mentioned with the materials, I prefix that with a lowercase m. All of my BPs, again, blueprints, I will prefix with lowercase bp, and this will simply be called game mode. Okay, so we now have our game mode created and ready to use. So it's as simple as that to create a game mode. There's no special approach we need to take for this. It is essentially just another blueprint. And we can see that if we open the double click to open this, we get this new window, we get the same blueprint layout, it's got the construction script and the event graph that we expected. There's one thing to note is if we then close this and then open the blueprint back up, we actually get a slightly different interface now. So this is the simplified view of the game mode. So because you may not need things such as functions or the event graphs in game modes, it does default to this window on the second time and any other time that you open the window. And this is just because the main things that we're concerned about, as I've said before, will be the pawn class that we're controlling, the HUD class, the player class, and things like that. So you don't have to manage all of the properties and the global functions in the game mode, but it does make it easier in certain projects, and this project is perfect to demonstrate that kind of setup. So just for when we go forward, the only thing we want to do right now is, we can see this up here, there's a note saying about the blueprint being data only, and we just want to change that to, again, open the full blueprint editor. So if we click that, just bring that up there and save that, and then every other time that we open this now, the game mode blueprint will open in the proper blueprint window that we're going to want. So that's just something to be aware of if you get a different window layout than you're expecting whilst using game modes. And also I just wanted to quickly mention as well, I've mentioned the word global a few times when talking about functionalities. So the functions are something we can add over here, which will just run some of the logic of the game depending on what we plug into that. And being global just means that anything outside of this blueprint will be able to access it. Now usually when you code something or whilst we're blueprinting things, the variables that we add over here, like the numbers and the strings that we added previously, they are called local variables. So they will only be able to be edited by something inside of the same blueprint. So obviously you can see some of the limitations behind that. If the blueprint we made earlier, the example blueprint, had a number in that we wanted something else to know about, if it had to update that in a different way, then being local means that the second blueprint wouldn't be able to access that. So they're the restrictions of it, and there are reasons behind that, and it just means that the variables are safer that way. It means that they can't be amended or broken by a different blueprint without you explicitly telling it to do that. So it stops you losing track of where the code is and where variables are being changed in things. So that's just a quick overview of what that means, just so that when I say these things, they're not completely confusing people who are brand new to this. But again, we will go more in depth into these things as we go through the course. But regarding the game mode blueprint, I think we now have that where I needed it to be. This was purely an overview of just creating the blueprint so it's ready for use when we move back into this later and create the variables. So I'll leave that there for now, and I will see you in the next lecture.